Welcome to Spilling Some Tea. I am Cessi Sparrow from the Frontline. I'm here with my besties, the amazing Chris Love, not Lindsay, Chris Love this week, and the super awesome Ms. Leslie Mack.
What's up, everybody? So good to be here.
So happy to have all of y'all join us for a very late lunch and a very late show. Sorry about that. But let's start off. Let's kick it off with what's the streets talking about this week, y'all? What's going on? First off, I know we all felt a way about the loss of Michael K. Williams at the start of the week. For me, especially, I just think seeing the headline, you know, he was found. That's like the absolute worst. No one deserves to die. Well, some people do, but not him. He didn't deserve to die alone. And that was the thing that actually kind of hit me in the heart, that I think we all had, were having conversations about how vulnerable all of us feel right now in this time of COVID and so much death and sickness. And let's just go around and share a little bit about that. Who wants to start off?
Yeah, I can go. I mean, obviously, yeah, it was very, yeah, the definition of a gut punch. I really was like, it's rare where I'm like, I just don't want to believe it. And I was definitely in that space. But what really hit me was, unlike previous, shocking or unexpected deaths, this one felt very much like everyone needed to like grieve together immediately, especially on social media. And I've been sitting with that a little bit, like interrogating a bit around, the usefulness of that. I think I had tweeted something like, it's friends, it's okay to step away. It's also okay to stay here if you need that connection, and that self-care is not a one-size-fits-all endeavor. And so I see the way in which, talking about it immediately and being there for each other and kind of a collective grieving is useful. But I wonder about the immediacy of it. It doesn't give us, reflective time. It doesn't give us the ability to sort through our own feelings before taking in others. And so I've been sitting with that and what it will mean for us moving forward. I've also been very vocal on social media about the fact that we have not had a significant collective mourning for the 650 plus thousand people that we've lost in this country, not to mention the world, and knowing we have projections of, another 100,000 that they're saying we will probably lose to COVID by the end of the year. And so, we need to get a handle on what a grieving process that can work for people is, because it's going to have both short-term and long-term effects on our individual mental health and stability, and our ability to connect with each other. And so that's why I've been sitting and kind of ruminating. And I am very appreciative of so many joyful videos about that have been shared, and also I'd like to just make a note, like, we don't need any think pieces about Michael K. Williams. He left an extraordinary trove of content, talking about himself, talking about his work, talking about his particular positionality in the world and what it meant to go from being a club kid, choreographer for songs like Pure Love, to one of the most renowned actors of his generation. So I would just ask folks to listen to what Michael had to say about himself, about his life, about his circumstance, and many of them are very touching and really beautiful. But he was an incredibly vulnerable performer, and there are articles and lots of videos. We don't need anybody to write about him. He really took the time to say what he wanted to say for himself, and for that I'm very grateful. Yeah.
So I learned about his passing while we were driving back from Utah. We went on a trip, and so we had spotty internet. And Michael's like, "No, Michael K. Williams died," and I was like, "What?" And then almost immediately it was this rush to judgment about what his death was. Like, it was, oh, well, they found drug paraphernalia, so it was probably an overdose. And I was like, well, do we know that? Like in addition to the rush to mourn, I think there's always this rush to, judgment and everybody playing super sleuth and deciding, trying to rush to what the determination is regarding the cause of death. And it just felt unnecessary to me at that point. It felt really unseemly because people are trying to make connections that might not be there. And especially as someone who was very open about his addiction and his past addiction, it didn't sit right with my soul. And so I just didn't say a whole lot about it until the next morning when I saw videos of him dancing. And I was like, you know what, this is what I need to see. All of that other stuff, I was not prepared. I was not prepared for it, but the happiness, the reading some of the things that he had written and seeing some of his interviews, those were the things that I needed to see.
Yeah.
And I just kind of want to leave it at that. Like,
Yeah.
that's the point. I don't know that man personally. And I feel like, yes, we do this collective grieving thing on social media because I think that that's the only way we know how to grieve right now, especially because we can't physically be together in these times. But it's too much.
It's too much.
Too much.
So much loss. So much loss.
Yeah. Right. And so it sits right with me.
Yeah. I was thinking about Michael B. Jordan, and I was thinking about how he's lost Chadwick and now Michael K., two, mentors to him. How difficult that must be. I was thinking about the cast of When They See Us, who lost two of their cast members in the last 6 months. It's so much loss everywhere. And like I said, I just think we need to collectively start thinking about and talking with each other about what grief means and how we need to hold each other because, we are not at a peak at all. And so, yeah, those are the things running through my mind. And if I had to give a shot, if I was going to tell people to watch one thing, there's a really great piece that Anthony Bourdain did with Michael K., where they were in my hometown of Flatbush, Brooklyn, and they went to Gloria's to get some curry goat and oxtail together. And it's a really beautiful video. And the actor that played Marlo Stanfield on The Wire happened to walk in to get his own food during the interview. And it was completely not planned, very spontaneous, because, they're just regular dudes. And it's a really beautiful video to watch. And, obviously we've also lost Anthony, in the last few years. And so I really got a lot of comfort from seeing them interact and love on each other and love Gloria's food and just be together. So I just wanted to give a specific plug for that particular piece of video to watch.
And that's such a New York thing, right? You don't know, you could be anywhere in New York and happen upon, any of the big actors and actresses. I remember I was getting my hair braided and the woman was taking like 11 million hours to braid my hair and I wanted to cry. And who walks in? Leon. And my hair is like out of control. And I'm like,
not Leon.
Now this is the moment.
Oh no! Oh, of all the people.
Shout out to Cessi being in the Mary J. Blige documentary.
Oh yes! Don't forget that. Yes, we saw you back there,
yes.
Cessi.
Yes, I'm blurred out in a documentary, y'all. With the husband of all people. But
oh, thanks. Yeah, Michael is saying that that was an episode of No Reservations. Yes. So I think that's actually online, so you can watch that on one of the streaming services. So definitely check that episode out. It was just really beautiful.
Yeah. With Anthony Bourdain, Michael K. Williams. It's just so much.
So much loss.
Yeah.
What else? Oh, so I don't watch Big Brother, y'all, but I do know that the streets are talking about the Cookout crew from this season's Big Brother, which is a group of Black contestants on the show that formed a super secret alliance to get everybody else out the paint. So it would end up to be them. So Cessi, I know you watched the show. This is unprecedented, correct or not? This has never happened before.
Yeah, because like most of the reality, especially the game shows, there's always a smidge of Black people. And in this particular case, like they usually have like 1 or 2 Black people, they have other people of color. But in this particular instance, I believe it's 5 Black people, 2 men and 3 Black, I'm sorry, 6, 3 men and 3 Black women. And so I believe I only started watching it maybe as of episode 8. Because I was curious about what is this Cookout situation? What is this alliance all about? Like Black people on Big Brother? Like I'd stopped watching it because of the racism. I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. You know, seeing a single, you know, Black person, especially Black women, have to deal with being the only and face waking up to the time they go to sleep, blatant racism and bias, you know, and the other underhanded things about the game. It was tough to watch. I stopped watching. But in this particular case, a Black woman, her name is Tiffany. She, I think it was like either day 2 or day 3, I heard she came up with this master plan to have all the Black people super secretly align. And the brilliance of this plan is they each have a tether, a partner. So, and the partner is not Black. So the partner can be anybody. It's their bestie in the house. And so, you know, they're close in the house. And so people consider that to be 2 votes. So when they come up for eviction every week, if you're in the chairs with your tether, well, the 5 other Black people are not going to vote for you. And so their job is to convince everyone else to go after your tether.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Brilliant.
It's changed. This has never been done before on any show. It doesn't matter, you know, Tiffany's are the best organizers. Yes.
Yes, on the Frontline or on Big Brother. That's right. That's right.
Yes, absolutely. Tiffany's are the best organizer. Thank you. Thank you, Miss Tiff. But yeah, so it's brilliant. And it's now down to, I believe, the final 8. I didn't watch this week, so I can't spoil it, but something happened over the weekend where Tiffany, the woman who came up with the master.
Oh, wait, spoiler alert, spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert.
Spoiler.
Spoiler.
I'm not going to say exactly what happened, but something happened where now she's decided to make her move.
Okay, because now it's down to almost just the Cookout crew, and so now this is almost the stage that they decided to get to. What's interesting, when you were talking about it, we prep this little show for y'all each week, and so when we were talking about it, The Circle started this week on Netflix as well. I'm a big fan of that show. If you don't know what it is, they put a bunch of people into hotel rooms. Basically, they don't get to interact with each other except for via a video wall. They have chats, and they can make up any persona they want. So it's very much like you can catfish folks, and yes, there's money at the end if you're able to survive through the end, and they have rankings and people get voted off. But it's interesting because I say all the time, if I ever went on a show, if I went on The Circle, which I actually enjoy, I would definitely not be myself, because the previous 2 seasons have proven that if you're a Black woman, you can't win. You cannot win. Everybody will eventually gang up on you, and you will eventually get, for whatever reason, you will get kicked out. Season 2, spoiler, a Black woman does want an Afro-Latina woman, but she pretended to be her Black husband. And that was how she was very good at playing her husband. She had like a notebook with everything she needed to know and everything. She did a very good job. But it's interesting to see kind of this flip. And I feel like reality TV has been such, even from its inception, we talk about, we can talk about Survivor, we can talk about lots of earlier iterations of reality TV. It's always been unkind to Blackness. And so I find this flipping of the power structure within this particular season of Big Brother really interesting, considering how much racism has gone on that show for so long. I also know there's a new Black Bachelorette coming on, which I'm not thrilled about.
But do you think that would even be the case? This would be possible if they didn't actually have a critical mass of Black contestants this time?
Definitely not.
Like 1 or 2, right?
Yeah.
And then 1 or 2 of them will always be co-opted against the other Black people that are on the show. Shouts out to The Circle season 2, Courtney.
Trash. Courtney,
Oh,
shame on you, Courtney. My niece was here shading him just last night. She was
Did you
just shading
wrong,
him.
girl? Right. So it's
Wrong.
right. So it's like this casting for this iteration of Big Brother is interesting because they went out of their way to have more than one or two
Yep.
Black folks, and so it's interesting to see how they've aligned now. Because there's a critical mass of them, there are enough of them that they can make an impact and play the game together.
Yes.
And
and
so
that
I,
was
I
Tiffany's.
noticed in the circle this time too. There are a number of people, Black folks and people of color,
Yeah.
right? And so I wonder, and I've only seen the first two episodes of this season, but I'm wondering how that plays out in the rest of the game, whether or not they're going to get their own cookout or not.
Or not. Yeah, this will become a phenomenon. I think The Circle is one of those shows that really keeps its contestants on its toes. So I've been really enjoying it. We'll pick it back up maybe next week after Chris is caught up, and we can talk a little bit more about it. So the third thing that we know the streets are definitely talking about, because I've been seeing it on every platform, everywhere you look, is Steve from Blue's Clues video apology / mea culpa that came out. It's the 25th anniversary of Blue's Clues, and a lot of millennials have been in their fields. A lot of moms and big sisters of millennials have been in their fields watching the video. I felt very moved by the video because it was, one of the things I thought, Blue's Clues was definitely not my time as a child, but I remember when it was out being like, oh, it's such a personal discussion with the viewer. It really talked directly to children. And it was one of the first shows to do that in such a direct and specific way. Obviously, Sesame Street does that as well. And so when Steve left, it was very abrupt, and a lot of children, especially depending on what age they were developmentally, it was really hard for them. And so to hear him come back and see that. But what I really took from this is that we're all really starving for nostalgia right now. Like, the horrors of the world and how difficult things are right now. Like, there's this little bit of use of, oh, Tiffany says he abandoned
Not
them kids.
abandoned the kids. He went bald, Tiffany. He said he was going bald and couldn't be on the show.
He said he went to college, right?
There are no edges.
Oh Lord, Tiffany said he abandoned them kids. Well, anyway, he's trying to make up for it. I don't know how it's gonna work out. But I think it's smart of Nick Jr. to play into this nostalgia right now, because we're seeing a lot of that. Whether it's this, honestly, the entire concept of Versus is all about nostalgia, right? It's all about remembering music from a past, whether it's the more recent past, and when you're talking about some of the younger artists, or even we just had the anniversary of the Brandy and Monica one, which was complete nostalgia, or even older. Auntie Chella's anniversary is coming up next week, and which I can't believe it's already been a year. Complete nostalgia. So there's this energy of like where we get a little bit of serotonin from in content, and nostalgia starting to play a huge role. What do y'all think about that? Like, have you felt it too? Have you been like getting those things from these nostalgic moments, or do you feel like it's a little too manufactured?
I feel like nostalgia for me is weird anyway. Now, I have enjoyed some of the verses, right? And some of them I did not enjoy, and that's fine. That's all fine. But I think that, we have to, it's a coping mechanism, right? Again, it's a coping mechanism for what we've been through over the past 18 months, 19 months, however long it's been since we've been inside. And folks have got to find something to bring them some joy. And I feel that. But I think with some of the nostalgia feels very warm-hearted and wonderful. Like seeing Steve. And yes, he did. I looked at a documentary, he'd done some interviews several years back about why he abruptly left. He was just like, I'm too old for this, and my hairline is receding, and it's not gonna, it's like, it's not gonna play anymore. And he wanted to do other things with his life, and that's fine, right? But some of the nostalgia is like, it feels very manufactured and just out of place, like too late.
Mm-hmm.
Like too little, too late. Like you had an opportunity, like maybe 10 years ago, to jump on the bandwagon for some of these things. Like, although I stand Keanu forever and ever, amen. I thought the Bill and Ted throwback that came out last year, nobody was asking for it.
Yeah.
We didn't really need it. We've got this Matrix, the Matrix trailer that just dropped.
Yeah, the Matrix 4 that just dropped the trailer
Right.
today.
I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, again, I stand Keanu, so I'm going to watch it regardless. But I'm like, I don't even know if I was really asking for that either. Though I'm excited to see Keanu in another movie and figure out what story is left to tell. But some of it is just, you know, lots of remakes and lots of things that feel like dated.
Yeah.
And past their expiration date.
Mm-hmm. What do you think, Cessi? Nostalgia. How's it hitting you?
Nostalgia is a funny thing, you know, because unless it's like explicitly Black, like the Versus, there's always something mixed in that's going to rub people the wrong way, or that's going to, you know, cause a little bit of bruising. So for me, I'm on the side of Chris, where we don't necessarily need we don't need a return to everything. But I do disagree about the Matrix, because I'm a nerd and I need more. I mean, all the movies weren't great, but if they want to stay in that world and keep churning them out like Star Wars, I'm going to keep buying tickets and I'm going to keep watching.
I also think with that, it's really interesting because we are low key. There is this sense of like, would we choose at this moment to plug in? You know, would we choose the blue pill right now, given how difficult things are? And so I think that bringing that concept back and this idea of, you know, lulling ourselves into a false sense of reality, which frankly most of our governmental leaders are doing right now.
Yep.
I think it's really timely, and I think it's a good time to bring that back and have us all confront that fact. I talk all the time about how, like, I wish I wasn't woke. I wish I could go back to fucking sleep because, oh, excuse me. I wish I could go back to effing sleep because, you know, it sucks. It sucks really, really, truly understanding just how messed up things are and how, what a high hill we have to climb to really create change.
I worry, though, that they might not handle it in the appropriate way, right? And number two, I worry about, you know, the Matrix, you know, had this social commentary, which was a major part of it, but it was also about how it was groundbreaking and special effects.
Yeah.
And so my thing is like, well, what are they
going to do now? Yeah. What's groundbreaking now with everything that we see, from Godzilla taking a punch to whatever? Yeah, you're right about that, Chris. But we'll see. We shall see. We'll see. The trailer's out now. Check it out. And also check out whatisthematrix.com, y'all, because it's a very interactive website, and it's kind of a neat bit of coding, and I think you'll get a kick out of it.
Yeah. Well, let's move forward with our next topic, which is the shit we getting off our chest.
Are you starting?
I'm gonna go first because mine's gonna be the shortest. For me, it's still COVID. I'm still pissed off about COVID and how it's affecting all of us. And I'm tired, y'all. I'm just tired of it. I'm tired of reading about parents who are having to pick up their young children, 5 to 7 or 8 years of age, from school because they're close contact, finding out their kids are positive for COVID, and then being scared to death because the child lives in a house with immunosuppressed or immunocompromised adults. It's not fair. And shit I got to get off my chest is, please, 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 if you can, get vaccinated. If you have questions, go to vaccine.gov. At this point, people are going to do whatever it is they want to do. But I just want to remind y'all that all of y'all sending your kids to schools without masks, don't forget, they needed vaccines to get enrolled. You needed vaccines to get enrolled. You needed a fucking vaccine to go to university. So I'm going to leave it there. and move forward. I'm just tired.
Mm.
Amen to that. And I
Amen.
think we've got, again, here in Arizona, we've got this mask ban that takes effect at the end of this month. I just read this morning that Governor DeSantis in Florida is moving for an emergency injunction so that he can reimpose his mask ban on kids in schools. And it's like the needle needs to move. Like, I don't know what it will take. I don't know that there is anything that we can do at this point to get people to take care of each other and think about someone else. I'm tired of hearing these stupid parents' rights arguments because they're false. And, I just, this is why I kept my kid at home this year. And I recognize that there's a lot of privilege in being able to do that. But it's rough out there. And, folks that have done the right things all of these 18 months are turning up sick. And it's not because the vaccine doesn't work. The vaccine works exactly how vaccines are supposed to work. And that means sometimes you get sick, right? But it's because people aren't doing the things that we need to do to make sure that we're all covered so the vaccine can work at its optimal level, right? Yeah. And I tell people this time and again, if there are 30 people in a class and 10 kids are wearing masks and the other 20 are not, and 3 of the kids in the classroom have COVID, that's 3 times COVID germs in the air for other children to breathe in, and those kids with masks don't have the optimal protection. But if everybody is wearing a mask, that means that there's basically no COVID in the air for any of the kids to breathe in. So put your fucking masks on. Put the masks on your kids. I don't understand what the issue is besides folks just wanting to be contrary at this point.
Yeah.
They don't care about anything.
Yeah.
But then don't tell me that you're some kind of good evangelical Christian. Don't lie.
How it works.
Well, they're fine regulating things like the length of a girl's skirt in school for dress codes, right? But that's not a personal freedom violation, right? This is why I just know none of it is actually about any of the things that they say it's about. It's just white entitlement, being mad at being told that they can't do whatever they want to do. And we've seen this in many instances, whether it's, their encounters with the police or them trying to accost Black people as they're going to their cars or anything else. It's really a fit of collective white entitlement where they feel as though anytime they're told they can't do whatever they want to do, it's some sort of infringement on their personal rights, which just is not how rights work at all. Right. Chris, I know you wanted to talk about Robinette's head ass.
He is just the worst. And I get it. He's no Trump or anything like that. But, well, anyway, so this morning, the Biden administration has put out the signal that they are considering or preparing to sue the state of Texas with respect to SB 8, which is the heartbeat bill that passed in the Texas legislature and has gone into effect on September 1st because the Supreme Court decided not to intervene. And I'm just like,
but it's the same Supreme Court though, Chris. So make it make sense though.
Right? I'm like, why? I saw this news this morning and I was like, if this ain't that, tell me you don't have a plan without telling me you don't have a plan.
I thought all the lawyers were going to just do pro bono for everything. That's the answer.
But yeah, I just, the same Supreme Court. So if it ends up going, up the chain, it's the same Supreme Court that did nothing this time around. It's the same Supreme Court that is primed to uphold the Mississippi abortion ban. That's on their calendar for the upcoming session of the Supreme Court. So that's not a plan. So
and a direct appointee who Amy Coney Barrett, who literally her entire, she said, I'm here to overturn Roe v. Wade. That's her goal. So yeah.
I just feel like this is not a plan, and this is another step in the, many blunders that the administration has made by not acting proactively, right? I mean, you could like federalize all of these abortion doctors, quite frankly. You could add a couple more seats to the SCOTUS. I know that there's a bill right now, and I have to sit on a roundtable next week to discuss the bill to kind of codify Roe versus Wade that's going through the House, but we still don't got the Senate. We don't got that bill. We still have the filibuster.
Filibuster is still there.
Right? The filibuster is still there, and even still, like codifying Roe versus Wade, who cares? Let's go above and beyond that, right?
Yeah.
My friend Dion just moved to New Zealand. She got the fuck out of here. Basically said that their abortion law is like 20 weeks. Don't ask, don't tell. Why can't we do something like that, right? I think that we're thinking too small if we're thinking about just preserving the few protections that are in Roe.
I think that sums up the Biden-Harris administration is thinking too small consistently on every issue, from COVID to voting rights to abortion rights and reproductive justice to pretty much anything that has, to the filibuster, to all of the things that we are facing right now, to the economy, to public education, to it's all small thinking, small ball. And we need big changes in order to even attempt to preserve the lives of as many people as we possibly can. And yeah, Chris, you hit that on the head. It's you in the big house and doing small shit. It's
right.
trash.
That's reactive shit instead of proactive shit, right? Like, we were on him about the Hyde Amendment from I don't know when, and people were mad at me. They were like, Chris, it's only been 100 days. Chris, it's only been this. Well, we still got the Hyde Amendment, and now, that's not really going to matter so much in about
He
a year.
ain't even got rid of DeJoy yet. The USPS still a mess.
No,
I mean, when is the action happening? Oh my God, we might have to do a whole show about Robinette, because honestly, I can't.
I said that I wanted to F him up last week, but just know that that's a standing. I want to F him up every week, but I want to give y'all something else to talk about each week. So
I appreciate it. It's a spectrum. It's a spectrum.
Yeah. So we know that if and ever y'all are, eyes on him, is on site, right?
On site. Call me Corn Pop on site, okay? Just call me Corn Pop Mac. Okay. So my let me get this shit off my chest is around two things right now. New York Fashion Week, and very shortly will be also about the Met Ball, which I'll say the same thing about both. Why the fuck are y'all having these things right now? I find it is giving Last Days of Rome. It is giving the plebeians need to see us in all our regalia. It is giving, why are you honestly, I was watching one of these things and it was like a living art. So all of the models were living art, and I was looking at how much the dresses and the outfits cost and all of that, and the sets, and how many ventilators those resources could pay for? Do you know how many resources that could be given directly to vaccine distribution, to honestly anything other than the uselessness of something like this? Yes, Titanic. They out here playing the violin. They playing the violin.
Yes.
Anyways, I don't get it. I don't get all of these so-called activists that are actively participating in these things. I don't get any of it. And it's really, I find it very gaslighting to have to even see these things when every day we are faced with full hospitals, 25+% rate of infection rates in those that are under 12 or under 17 around the country. we are at the height. We are higher in almost every measurable number with regard to COVID in this country than we were when we went into lockdown last year. And it's very clear by the fact that things like the Met Ball and New York Fashion Week are still happening that we will not be shutting down again. Capitalism has decided we are all able to be sacrificed. I shared this really funny TikTok yesterday. There was like this woman doing this voiceover. It's like, work. We need you to work a job that you hate. Keep working. We need you to keep working to make money. Work while you burn. Work while you starve. It just is just absolutely too much. We have nurses that don't have PPE that they don't have to reuse. We don't even listen, just alone, we should be having direct delivery of PPE and home tests to every single American in this country on a regular basis, like we have condoms that are available for free anywhere. And yet, beautiful gowns. So I'll leave that there. Beautiful gowns.
It's not even just like the Fashion Week and the Met Gala. It's, we're having music festivals. And I got a bone to pick about that, because at least with the Met Gala, it's not people that are 100,000 people that are crammed together in a small space.
Facts.
Like Bonnaroo had to shut down, and I am one of those people that was gonna go to Bonnaroo before, because we thought it would be okay by then, right? But Bonnaroo had to shut down, but they didn't shut down because of COVID. They shut down because of the fucking hurricane.
Yeah, they got shut down because they had the flooding. They could not get ample supplies there and such.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, we are going to dance ourselves to our deaths. That's what's going to happen.
Anyways.
Let's move it forward, y'all. Who we fucking up this week, aside from Robinette?
I will start. Who I want to F up this week is the New York Times, the Washington Post, and pretty much the entire mainstream media, who have allowed a disturbing level of both sides-ism to get its wings, get sales, from voter suppression to mask mandates to vaccinations to public education to CRT, all of it. This idea that there are two sides when really we're talking about facts and lies is really getting under my skin. Once upon a time, I wanted to be a journalist. Once upon a time. Anyways, and I quickly actually realized it was not the arena for me, because it was clear what you had to do to be successful. There was not a way in which I could personally contort myself. And to watch everything that I knew was going to happen has really been I talk about how Black women are Cassandra all the time, and this is one of those moments for me. And so I'm really just over all of these articles and them giving these platforms to people who are just there to spew lies. And then when you confront them and say to the entity, like, this is just not true, and they're responsible, we have to allow all sides to say, this is not all, voter suppression is not all, there's no two sides to it. No. Democracy doesn't have two sides to it. Public health doesn't have two sides to it. And I'm just so over it all. And I don't know what else to say except for, we really need to have concerted efforts into supporting independent media that is really trying to tell real stories and really get into the thick of things. ProPublica had a really amazing deep dive into the corporations that funded the abortion ban in Texas. And I was so pleased to be able to share that content, because it was really just like, here, these are the niggas they gave the money to. These are the people, this is how they voted, this is how much they gave, this is when they gave it, this is when they knew what they were giving to. And I appreciate it, because there's no two sides. If you donated to a candidate who sponsored this bill, who voted for this bill, you and your corporation, and those of us that spend our dollars with these corporations, funded the bill then. And I really, those are that's what I've been sitting with, trying to lift up. We on the Frontline try our best to lift up those kinds of media sources and to make sure people have the right information. But I'll tell you, it's hard. It is not easy to make sure that we're sharing things that are not just trying to frame this as a both sides need to be heard type of, everything is not one op-ed and then another op-ed. Some shit is just facts. And I need people to really just start doing their jobs because I'm tired of it.
Right.
So that's what I had to get off my chest this week.
What about you, Chris?
So City of Phoenix can get all the smoke this week. As you all know, the Phoenix PD, which has a Black woman as its chief, is one of the deadliest in the nation, and they are currently being investigated by the Department of Justice for violating people's civil rights and shooting unarmed Black and Latinx people.
Targeting protesters.
Targeting protesters. Shout out Bruce. And so this week, the city of Phoenix appointed a Black man named Jeff Barton as their city manager. And the city manager actually has more juice than the mayor in that city because they're the person who oversees the police department, the Phoenix Police Department. So now they have two Black faces.
Brother.
Right? Two Black faces. And I think that they think this is supposed to calm folks down. But for some of the old guard, I'm sure it does. But the last thing we need is another Black face on the problems that the city is going through right now. So one thing I feel is almost sorry for this brother because they set him up for failure. Sorry, Jeff Barton. Number two, I'm angry because this is not a Band-Aid on the problem. Right? It's not going to fix anything. You're just going to have two Black faces representing police brutality in Arizona. And number three, I would have said no to this job if it were me. But I think that that's because my politics wouldn't allow me to do it anyway. So not all our skin folk are our kin folk. And,
Does he have the power to dismantle the police department?
I mean, he can fire the police chief, whereas the council.
No, but I mean, could he literally get rid of the police department?
I mean, maybe he could try. I think that we have a strong police union here, though, so they would stand in the way. But he's not going to do that shit because
no, he's not. I'm just thinking about it.
Yeah.
Is it one of those positions where you could just go in and my only goal is to sabotage this shit, for real?
Yeah. Not that guy. If it was me,
it could, but not that dude.
But
not
they would never give me that job in the first place. Number one, and number two, the mayor is mad at me. So.
Oh well.
I mean, she's always mad at me, so that's fine. But the city of Phoenix, they just keep on making these dumb missteps. They've given, instead of really looking into defunding, they keep on giving the police department more money. And we've got liberals and progressives on our board, right? On our city council. And they've let a whole lot of shit slide, and they've gotten called out by our activist community and community orgs. And, I'm friends with a few of them, right? Great people. I think that they came from the activist community as well. And they're learning a hard lesson about how you can operate on one side versus the other side.
Yep.
And it's medicine that they're having to take right now. And it's tough, but you have to operate completely differently as an activist than from within.
Yeah,
right?
definitely.
But,
that inside game is not as cute as the people think it is.
No, seriously. And so, I just, stop, City of Phoenix. Just stop. Get yourselves together. This brother, he's been working with the city for a long time, and he's kind of come up the ranks, and I feel like they set him up for failure, so he won't be around very long.
Well, City of Phoenix, get your shit together. Chris is over it. So am I, frankly. What's up with you, Cessi? Who you got to talk about today?
All right, y'all. So on Tuesday evening, the Cobb and Douglas Department of Public Health held an emergency meeting to push for better COVID mitigation measures in the schools. Because as I've been saying, and as we all know, there's too many very young kids getting sick, too many kids dying. And unfortunately, the superintendent of the Cobb County School District is Ragsdale, and he's also on the board of health. He should not be. This is brand new.
Wow.
Basically, what happened, Georgia is a red state, and we run up against, even though, in certain areas are very liberal, the area that I'm in is lavender at best. Most folks are sane. But during the time of Trump, when we needed a new superintendent of the school board, what they did, instead of electing someone, they appointed Ragsdale in the interim. And there were already 4 conservative members on the school board. There's 3 liberal members. And since he's been the interim, the majority on the school board has given him a position on the Department of Health. I'm sorry, on the Board of Health, which impacts the schools. His decisions directly impacts the schools. And as the superintendent, his word is what goes. His decision is what we have to live with.
What a conflict of interest. My God.
Massive conflict of interest. Here's the other part of it. I mentioned he's not elected. He's appointed. He is appointed, which makes him an employee, which makes the elected, the conservative elector, all of the school board who is elected, aside from him being the superintendent, they actually his boss or his bosses. He has an employment contract. Salary is paid for by taxpayers like me. How is this possible?
So he needs to be fired.
He can be fired. He can be fired. He won't be fired because the 4 conservative members of the board have made him, have given him this position and made it permanent for him.
Gosh.
There's nothing legally binding him to it being permanent. He is still an employee with an employment contract, but until we get rid of them, we can't get rid of him. And why this is irritating me to this point this week is because at this emergency meeting, once again, all kinds of qualified medical doctors, not chiropractors or, acupuncturists or whoever, scientists, people who actually, studied science and have, like Chris says, degrees and shit. Actual people who brought physical evidence and actual statistics to support their arguments. This dude literally sat there looking off camera like he was looking out the window or God only knows what. When he did speak, he wasn't even like he distorted the facts or the statistics. It was like he did not understand them. So what's in doubt now is, does he even have the capacity to do the job that he's been appointed to do?
Right.
Because he could not. It doesn't look like in the moment
he understood what was going on.
Because his comments were asinine. He is in charge of Cobb County School District of kindergarten through 12th grade kids between the ages of rising 5 and rising 18. In his rebuttal at the end, as he abstained from the vote as to what should be done, he brought up Kennesaw State University. Kennesaw State University's primary age group of the students there are fucking adults.
Yeah.
Why are you talking about university? We're talking about 5 through 8-year-olds coming home positive with COVID and killing their family. Killing off grandma and whoever else. So yeah, the groups that I'm in are really pushing, trying to get media attention. It does look like this week it is improving. But it's probably improving
because so many of y'all have pulled your kids out.
Right.
It's interesting. It's like they'll look at that statistic as a success, and no, it's not a success. It's because literally it's like unemployment rates. people are just deciding to not even report that they're unemployed, because what's the point of doing it?
Right.
I have a story I'll tell y'all off of here because I can't talk about it because of HIPAA, but it's interesting.
Right.
Oh, Chris knows it actually. I think I told you on Facebook last
Okay.
week. You know about it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. About this idea of how statistics, we all know statistics they'll say whatever you want them to say as you turn them around. But I think this idea of like doing better, it's like because parents like you are pulling their kids out of school and keeping them home. And so, yeah, when that happens, yes, the cases are going to go down because there's fewer students there to be exposed and to be infected. It's gosh.
And his rebuttal, he says we're doing 7 of the 8 mitigation measures. Well, first of all, that's a fucking lie. Second of all, the most important one, which we all know, is masking. He refuses to do. They ended the meeting by basically proving that he was throwing a temper tantrum. There's no sort of, it's not done. His cronies that support him the next day were saying things like, well, it would have been great to hear from the other side. There is no fucking other side. There's non-facts, there's lies, and then there's the actual truth, and there's the actual evidence in your face. Also, on top of that, this fool had the nerve to say today, 97% of the students in Cobb County don't have COVID. So there's over 100,000 students in Cobb County School District, or were enrolled at the beginning of August. I don't know what the number is right now, over 100,000. So you're saying only 3% have COVID or are COVID cases, which makes it over 3,000 children. Only 3,000 children. If you just look at that on the surface, that's 3,000 households in the community that are dealing with this in a time when, yes, it's hot as hell in Georgia. It stays warm for a very long time, but very quickly, we're all going to start to come back inside because it's going to be too cold to stay outside for long periods. And it's going to be too cold to continue to use that as an excuse. Oh, we'll just bring the outside air in. We have principals at schools who are saying, parents are willing to donate air purifiers. Parents have come up with curriculum to get the children involved in building air purifiers as a project in the classrooms. They're all being shot down because no one wants to come up against this bully who's basically throwing a massive tantrum because moms are telling him, hey, no, you're endangering our children. You are killing people with your inaction. And I don't know what to do, but what I can do to protect my own family, which is now I'm pulling my 13-year-old out probably over the next couple of days. I need to find a solution for my 10-year-old I pulled out 2 weeks ago, and I got to find a solution for my 13-year-old. I don't know what to do. I recognize that I have a certain level of privilege to be able to do that. My heart goes out to these families that have these little ones, these 5, 6, 7-year-olds coming home positive with COVID. Some of them are twins. They're coming home, they're infected, and they have to be alone. You have to isolate them.
Isolate them.
You have to isolate them because if you're immunocompromised or you're immunosuppressed, there's a lot of cancer survivors, out in the community who can't get vaccinated. Who, the only protection they have is to be in their house. And now you've got someone in the house that brought the monster inside your door, not to your door, inside your door. The monster's on your couch. It's not fair. It's not fair. It's heartless. And there's very limited things that we can do. We have voter suppression laws. We have all this bullshit they're doing with, messing with redistricting and gerrymandering. So many ideas have been brought up how to primary these folks. It's really not going to matter a whole hell of a lot because you can't outvote gerrymandering.
Nope.
Right.
Nope.
That's
And
not something you can out organize, and we've been
yeah.
screaming that on the front line at least for quite some time now, and yeah, it's just been terrible. Well, you
So
know, my heart goes out to all the parents out there, certainly to you two who are parents on here, and I'm not, and all of the myriad of creative solutions that folks are having to go through to try and keep themselves and their, not just themselves and their family, their community safe, because this is something that affects the community. I think the thing that COVID has exposed the most is how little we care for each other when we get right down to it. How little we feel a connection and responsibility to our fellow neighbors and community members. And it's been one of the most depressing things for me to realize that we don't have that. You know, we transitioned from a front porch society to a back porch one, to a backyard one, and we never looked back. And, you know, that if we are to survive past this point, we have got to break that shit apart, and start really leaning into the fact that we are responsible for each other. We do have a social contract with each other to keep each other safe and to do whatever we can to make sure that it's not just my backyard, it's our entire community. And I don't know. These white people really don't be feeling it, so I don't know what to tell you. I don't know.
And you know, we have to be responsible for building our own communities at this
Yep.
point.
That's what it's gonna come down to, Chris.
Yeah.
Yep.
Over everything else. They will sacrifice their own children.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what they're doing.
Right. So,
Yep.
well, I just want to give a quick update. While we were talking, Biden administration dropped that lawsuit in Texas.
Oh.
Yeah.
Maybe he was he listening to us? Hold on, Robinette, you out here, Robinette?
Maybe he's scared of me. Maybe he's scared of me.
You out here, Robinette? You listening? Oh my. All right, well we'll keep tabs on that. Not that it's gonna.
Still fuck Joe Biden, but I will make sure to post the link to the actual suit. I haven't gotten a chance to read it, but you know, maybe it'll work. Maybe
not. I mean, I'll say this: all this stuff we've been talking about, we have not seen the Federal Department of Education step in.
Nope.
Silence.
Nope.
Anyways,
Nope.
we're almost at the end. Yeah, here.
Yeah, but first, I want to shout out to Chris's husband, Michael, saying we desperately need to build community defense and communities of care. You are exactly right. We do desperately need that. Amen to that.
Amen.
And moving on with that, let's get into what is bringing you joy. What slice of joy you got for us, Leslie?
Well, my little piece of joy this week is that Auntie Anita Baker has finally gotten back possession of her masters of all of her music. As she put it, all of her babies have come home, and she has given us the green light to clean our homes properly on Saturday mornings, listening to her music. And I really, if any of the TikTok generation hears this, please, I beg, do some TikTok dances to some Anita Baker songs so she can really go viral everywhere. I really would love to see something like that. I think it would be such a beautiful thing. And I'm just excited. You know, she's been fighting for this for a really long time, and it's just always beautiful to see our elders get the things that they deserve. And so go ahead. There is a Essentials Anita Baker playlist on every single streaming service, whatever one you use, it's there. Even if you don't even listen, just hit play and let it go so we can get Auntie her streams. I want to really see. And also, if Timbaland happens to be listening in Swiss Beats, this is the perfect time for Anita to be in a versus, because we all know what happens when verses happen. All them streams go up, and she owns her masters now, and I want to give her her flowers while she's here. So that's my little piece of joy. I was really happy to see that happen this week.
Yay! Chris, do you want me to go, or are you gonna go?
You can go.
Okay.
I'm trying to look on my list to figure out what I said I was.
Well, mine has to do with my 13-year-old. Their name is Summer, and Summer is a character, to say the least. She's y'all's fave they're y'all's faves, and sometimes they're mine too. But this
Definitely
week,
my fave.
yeah,
I'm a summer stan, okay, over here.
something interesting happened this week. So in social studies down here in Georgia, they study American history like over and over and over again. And this has got to be like either the second or third time they're specifically studying Georgia history. And Summer has had it. You know how Bakugo says, "We will not have it all." That's where Summer is at this point. Summer is tired of James Oglethorpe. And so their social studies teacher is Mr. Taylor. Mr. Taylor is a Black man. I believe he's from Brooklyn. I know he's from New York, from somewhere, and he is way overqualified for this job with these raggedy middle schoolers. And I feel my heart goes out to him because he is brilliant. And what he has done is he's tricking them into doing extra ELA to help them be prepared for university. So what he's doing is he is actually, he wants them to interrogate the content. And these little lazy kids, they're like, yeah, okay, whatever. But my kid is like, you know what? I'm going to take you up on that. So they had to write, there was a project, I think it's like 2 or 3 kids per group. And I didn't realize it was a debate. I thought they were writing it. But they had to compose a thesis statement yesterday to start off the debate, which ran today. And so Summer's thesis included the words worthy poor and classist. And apparently when they got to the word classist, Mr. Taylor stood up and clutched his pearls. He couldn't believe it. He couldn't believe that what he was asking for, he was actually getting.
He's getting it. He's getting it. I love it.
Because Summer, and I'm paraphrasing, Summer said something to the effect, James Oglethorpe's idea of worthy poor is classist, and that Georgia was only successful in relation to other colonies, which is why they had to turn it over to a royal colony. I'm not exactly sure what all went on with that, but the thesis statement that they threw down got a 9 out of 10 positive or score, and it was the highest rated, I think, over the last 5 years for this particular class. So,
all right, Summer.
Yeah, Summer's team won the debate, which, come on, I mean, it's my kid debating, come on.
Yes.
Won the debate, so they're having an amazing day. They've been texting me all day long, giving me the play-by-play.
I love it.
Yeah, it's awesome. So that's gave me a little slice of joy in an otherwise shitty week.
You love to see it. These woke ass Zoomers, I'm here for them. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm not worried. I'm so not worried about the future. Honestly, they know so much more than we do.
Yeah, the kids are all right. Not they're going to be all right. They're already.
They are all right.
They're way better than we are. Trust me. So what I did, I went hiking. So I went to Zion National Park in Utah. We live about 6.5 hours away, and we met some friends out there for a long weekend. And as you all know, I like to be outdoors, but I think I've been outdoors challenged lately because it is 8 million degrees in Arizona right now. And so I haven't been like outside walking for probably about 2 months because we started out in 117 degrees this summer. It was ridiculous, right? So we went to Zion and I hiked something called the Narrows, which is at the bottom of a canyon and you're hiking the river. Whatever. So it's not just, oh, I'm hiking beside the river. No, you're like trudging through the river, and like some parts it's waist deep, and other parts it's a little.
What are you wearing for this, Chris? I need to know.
So you have to get they rent out these hiking boots that are waterproof, and then they give you waterproof socks, and then you got to walk with sticks, right? Because the riverbed is rocky. Right, and so you gotta maneuver. So my ankles, you know, they were through after this. But it's like it's an in and out hike unless you hike all the way up to the top. You have to like backpack and do all that stuff for that. And I was like, no, we ain't doing that. So it's about a 5.5 mile in and out hike on the riverbed through the water with my ankles and my knees at 44 years old. And I did it and I didn't fall because that was what I was afraid was going to happen. But it was beautiful. Like it was, I posted some pictures on my IG, but it felt like I made, it was an accomplishment because it's not an easy hike.
Yeah.
In fact, I told my friend Adriana, I was like, hey, I hiked the Narrows. And she's like, oh my God, that's so hard. And she's a hiker. Right? She's a hiker. So I was like, yeah, I know, pop my collar. I mean, I did it. And I'm really proud of myself because I didn't think that I could. And my friend Sherry, shout out to Sherry Fremont. She's the one who planned the trip. And, she's always my biggest cheerleader for everything. So there are a lot of things that I don't think I can do. And she's like, psh, you got this. And so thank you, Sherry, for convincing me that I could actually do this in the first place. And then I got through it. And I'm still like on a high from doing this several days later, right?
I love it. Congratulations.
I'm hiking trails as soon as it gets cool enough to hike because it's still hella hot and it's still really hot in Arizona. But I'm ready. I'm ready to take some hiking trips. Right.
I love it. I love it. Congratulations, sis. And also, I one of the few things we have that we can lean on is always being out in nature, especially in the midst of this panorama. So, yeah, I'm hoping as the weather gets cooler, more of us get to take part and get outside and experience some of that safely. So that's really exciting and really happy to hear. Oh, our joy things were so good this week. Oh, I love it.
Well, thank you. Thank you, ladies. Thank you, everyone who joined us for a very late lunch and a late show. We will be back next Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern and 12 p.m. Pacific. And we hope to see you there. Thanks again. Bye,
Bye, everyone. See you next week.
Bye.